Hi, my name is David, and I am the administrator or admin, as you prefer, of Parent Nook and Parent Nook forums. I'll be placing links to both sites in the description line, so look for it there. In short, Parent Nook itself, www.parentnook.com, it's a site that's filled with articles, stories, um, related to parenting and relationship issues because that's what Parent Nook is. Both sites are relationship sites. There are some other things of interest in there, but mainly the focus is on parenting and relationship issues, problems, info, and whatnot. And Parent Nook forums is a place where you can discuss your parenting and relationship issues. So be sure to check them out. You can find us there. You can find me there. Okay, look for me there. But today, talk about listening to your elders. And more importantly, and I use the word important on purpose, is the importance of listening to your elders. Okay, now I know as an older person and having been a younger person that a lot of times we tend to say, you know what? The old people don't know what they're talking about. Their days are gone. They've lived their life and whatnot. Things aren't the same. That's not the body of what I want to talk about today, but I do want to stress some things that, yes, I go to my kids all the time. When this computer does something I don't understand, when my smartphone does something I don't understand, or I can't figure out something on the TV, yeah, I go to my kids. Okay. And they know they're more tech savvy than I am. And because I grew up in the days of rotary telephones, um, vinyl records, cassette tapes, 8-track tapes. Um, okay, that was my high tech things. CB radios. That was my high tech stuff. Okay, so that is just a little bit beyond. I mean, the new math. Why did math has to be new? I don't know. If it's still a line from Incredibles, math is math. 1+1 should equal 2. There shouldn't be a certain way to do it. It should be 1+1 = 2. It should be that simple, but it doesn't matter. So, are young people, let's say, more equipped for that kind of some of the new high tech things, using computers and programming and coding and all that? Sure, they are. Because the rest of us, we didn't grow up with that stuff. The most complicated thing we had to do was take the little needle and put it in the groove that was for our favorite song, or listening to the radio for 800 hours so we could tape our favorite song, make our own mixtape. Okay, so that was our complicated tech savvy crap when we were growing up. It's much more difficult now, and I admit that, and I do admit also that I turn to my kids for help. And simple everyday things. Again, working the TV set. Okay, how does the DVR work? How do I record this program while this program is working? You know, and all this other stuff. Back in my day, there was channels 2 through 13. That was it. And some of those channels didn't exist. So there was channel 2, there was channel 4, there was channel 5, there was channel 7, channel 9, channel 11, channel 13. That's it. Then cable came along and there was nothing but HBO and all that. Then they started adding all that. Again, it got complicated. And TV used to be free. Yeah, free. Yeah, when it was 2 through 13, it was free and we got by. Anyway, listening to your elders. Okay, so are you more equipped than that? Yes, that's true. You're much more equipped to handle today's world and things. And yes, we can learn from you, and we do. I certainly listen to my children's advice when they say, "Oh, Dad, you need to do this when you do this," or you know what, there's an easier way of getting to that program if you use this program or this app. Okay, I listen to them. Unfortunately, young people today don't turn that around. There are parts of being an older person, and older could be any age. Okay, it could be late 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, like myself. Okay, there is an aspect to this that is much more beneficial than any high tech knowledge that anyone may have. Okay, it is far beyond that. And if you pay close attention, and I do mean close attention, you can learn much, save yourself some time, trouble, pain, discomfort, ruined jobs, relationships, and countless things. Okay, so putting aside the fact that your kids probably know better how to use the GPS on your car if you even have one. I don't even know how the hell to use a GPS. I don't care. I come from the day, turn left at this street, turn right at that. I wrote down my directions. Somebody said, oh, you take the such and such freeway, you get off at Baker Street, you turn right on 6th Street, you turn left on 4th Street, and it's the third house from the left. That's how I got directions. And it worked fine. Not to discredit GPS and stuff like that. But here's where it gets to be really important. And I stress this because most young people do not pay attention to this. Sadly, and this includes my kids, they think, oh, those days are gone. That doesn't apply today. You're wrong. First of all, before I get into what the real point is, it's not about that's the way it used to be or that's old. No, nothing's really new or nothing's really old. Things just repeat themselves, but in a different fashion. Okay? It's not so much that this is the old way or it's out of date. It's just changed somewhat. It still goes back to the original. Nothing's original anymore. Okay? So when you say, oh, Dad, that's the way they used to do it, we do it this way now. Well, why is this way so good? I was having a conversation with a young person not too long ago, and they said, well, that was the way they used to do it. That was old. And I'll go, well, that's funny because things are worse now. So maybe the new way isn't working. We talk about that with parenting. Parenting was much easier, if the word easy is even appropriate. It probably is not. Was less complicated when the government, the schools, and all these other outside organizations weren't involved, including the infamous, and I use the word infamous on purpose, Dr. Spock. I would say, in my personal opinion, the downfall of parenting began with him and his anti-spanking campaign. Now, I am not in favor of beating your kid till they're black and blue or taking a switch or a belt or anything, but I am in favor of spanking. A simple open hand on a closed butt. It worked. It worked. Juvenile crime has skyrocketed since spanking stopped. Juvenile crime and other things like that have skyrocketed since we took parenting away from the parents and put it in the hands of outsiders who don't know our kids and think they know kids. Now we fear our own children. We feared, oh, they're going to call CPS and they're going to do this, they're going to do that, or they're going to call social services, they're going to call, you know what? Bullshit. I'm sorry. It is. It's bullshit. Back in the 50s, 60s, when you saw homes like the Brady Bunch and Ozzie and Harriet and the Partridge Family, all that, those kids minded. Kids today don't mind. They stand up to their parents. I would never in a million years get in the face of one of my parents and say, you're wrong, or you're full of crap, or I'm going to do this to you. Never in a million years. It's disrespectful. And that's one of the things kids don't respect parents or elders or adults anymore because they've been taught not to, thanks to the media, TV, movies, politicians, all these people that got their own agendas. They're not trying to help parents be parents. They're helping their own agendas. Okay? Put parenting back in the hands of parents, and I can almost assure you we will see a drop in juvenile crime. We will see dropout rates drop, and lots of things like that. Put parenting back in the hands of parents. Anyway, listening to your elders. Why is that important? Very simple. Experience. That's right. That's the one thing you don't have. You don't have experience. You may know every inch of that computer. You may know how to make that cell phone do things it's not even meant to do. You may know how to run the new math. You may be a whiz at calculus. It doesn't take place for experience. Only experience can help you get through anything. Why do you think when you go to a job and you got all this schooling, but somebody else gets it who's got 5 years experience? Because they've done it. You can know anything. Being book smart doesn't mean anything until you've actually done what it is you need to do. That includes parenting. It includes life in general. But we're talking about parenting. A teenager, young adult says, well, I'm going to do this, and I got to get to this, and I know what I'm doing, that your day is gone. Wrong. Nothing changes. Tech may get things may be more high tech or whatever, but you can't trade experience. What I know that you young people don't know is what I've lived through. I've made decisions similar to the ones that that you are facing, that you've made, that you're going to be making. I know what the results are. Not only that, rather than be quick to jump, oh, I'm going to do this and not think quickly and try and get something. Oh, you're looking at from point A to point B. You're not looking at all the points in between, all the things that could happen. You can't look at them because you haven't lived. You don't know. You don't know that when you do this, all these other things take effect. It's almost like the butterfly effect. Okay. This is why you need to listen to your elders. If you're a parent, elder, grandparent, uncle, whoever it is that's your um, parental figure, if they're telling you something, they're telling you because they've lived it. It doesn't matter that it's not the exact same situation. It doesn't matter that they don't know about a computer or a cell phone or the new math or anything. What they have is living experience. They know that when you take this action, this is the likely result. They've done it. They've suffered the pain. They don't have to, they can, you know what, as a parent, I've made my mistakes. I've done my things. You don't have, if you're my child or if you're just somebody I'm mentoring or trying to help, you get the benefit from my mistake. And by benefit, I mean, you don't have to make it. You don't have to repeat it. I know if you take this action, this is going to be the likely result. Or I have the benefit of knowing all the other aspects that may happen when you do this that you don't know that you need to prepare for. Okay, I've been to job interviews. I've been fired. I've been hired. I've been faced with calamities and disasters and divorces and marriages and breakups and makeups and all this other stuff, getting back together, separating, new jobs, old jobs, moving out, moving in. There's a million different things that you young people will all face as life goes on. And what you need, the one thing you need from us older people that you don't have is that experience. Please, please, I implore you, when you're figuring out things in life, whatever it is, a new job, a new relationship, a troubled relationship, maybe an illness, maybe a new adventure, maybe you want to move in with somebody, maybe you want to move out of home, maybe you want to rent a new place. I mean, all the countless things you want to do. Talk to your elders, learn from them what it is that they are looking forward to and listen to them. You may think, oh, that'll never happen. You're wrong. It will. It's the same thing we said, same thing our parents said and our grandparents. All that. You don't have to do that. You can learn from the mistakes that we all made. And once you do that and you can avoid that, you can learn from those mistakes. That's the whole point. Why do we talk about history repeating itself? Because we don't learn. If we don't want another Holocaust, we have to remember what started the first one. And then we can stop it before it happens. If we don't want to see another genocide like what happened with the Jews, then we watch for the signs and we learn and we take note of what happened so it doesn't happen again. The same thing's true of anything. Edison tried, I don't know how many hundreds of different things before he came up with a light bulb. He found out what didn't work. He learned from that experience. Okay? Learn from the experience of the people around you. Do not for a moment think that your elders are no longer a benefit to you. Their biggest benefit is their age. Their biggest benefit is their experience of what they've lived through, what they've done, what they've decided the results of. I can sit there and tell my children, don't do this. I did it. Here's the result. And I'm still suffering for it 50 years later. Yeah, 50 years later. A decision I made when I was 17 years old still impacts my family today when I'm 60, and in a negative way. And I can take that information, I can give it to my children so they don't do the same thing. And I can do that with decisions I made through my entire life and let them benefit. Okay? Work with your parents, work with your children. Let them take advantage, pick your brain about what what experiences are going to be beneficial to whatever situation they're facing. And please, please, if you're a child, even a young adult or an adult child or whatever, listen to them. They know what they're talking about. They have the experience. They know what happened. The one thing they have that you don't have is experience. They know if you do this action, these are the likely outcomes. And they will know what happens that you're not even thinking about. Well, that wasn't even related to that. Why did that happen? It happened because you didn't know, because you thought you knew more. You don't. I didn't. My parents didn't. On and on and on and on. I learned from some of my parents' mistakes, and I didn't make with my children. And so some of the things I did, they didn't. Why? Because I learned from my parents' mistakes, so I didn't have to make them, so they aren't suffering in this way. That doesn't mean they don't listen on some aspects, but again, we're talking about all of you in general, whether you're a parent or a child, a young adult, uh, um, somebody in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, like myself, or even older. Listen to your elders. They've lived life. They know what's happened. They've been through it all. They know what happens when you take A and you connect it with B and it doesn't add up to C, it ends up to D or E. Why? They know why. They've been there. We've been there. We know what it is. We know how to do that. Listen to your elders. The best thing that could ever happen to you as a young adult or a teenager is to learn from the adults around you, learn what happened to them with similar situations so you don't have to make those same mistakes, so you don't have to suffer like they did. They may have suffered tremendously. They may have suffered minorly. They may have ruined a relationship. They may have ruined a job. They may have ruined an opportunity. There's a countless things they could have ruined had they came to you and picked your brain for knowledge, or if you're the young adult, if you had asked for it, or at least listen to it. Okay. If you're a parent like me, you give advice to your children all the time. It's important that they listen. You can't force them to listen, but maybe, just maybe, this video will get through to somebody and you'll understand the one thing that the elder people have that no one else has is that experience and knowledge. They know what's going to happen. They've been there. They've lived their life. They've had jobs. They've lost jobs. They've had relationships. They've lost relationships. Maybe they've had multiple marriages and multiple divorces. Maybe there was an action they took that caused a sickness or an injury, or a loss of a license or jail time, for heaven's sakes. There's a million things that you can learn from these people because they've lived their life. Don't sell them short because they come from a different decade or a different era. Just because I grew up as a teenager in the 70s and was born in the 50s doesn't mean I can't help you in 2019. I can. Why? Because I've lived since 1958. I've been through all the things that you've already been through. I already knew what was going to happen had you came to me, and I know what you're going to be facing in the future, and I know if you make certain decisions, what the results are likely going to be, good or bad or indifferent. I also know the things that you don't anticipate to happen that will happen once you make these decisions. You may think, oh, I'm just going to do this and this will be happening, it'll be fine. It never works that way. Do not think your great plan is going to fall into place like a puzzle and all the pieces are going to fit. They're not. If you have to sit there and figure out that not everything is going to go according to plan, and you have to figure out if that plan, if it goes awry, if it's going to ruin anything for you, whether it be a relationship with family, a job, a relationship, a marriage, your children, countless things. You have to put these things into place and understand this is where the older people like myself can help you. Listen to us. We will help you. We are there for you because we care. Let us help you. Take our advantage of our experience. Take all this vast knowledge you have, and it's vast, much more vast than what I needed when I was your age. Take that, use it. It's going to help you move forward, but pick our brains on experience. Look for the things that you ask about, the things that you don't see. Okay. Just because you think, oh, I'm going to do this and this is going to happen, doesn't mean it's going to happen that way. And if it doesn't, then what? Again, people like myself have those answers for you. So please, It is very, very, very important that you listen to your elders. And that includes me. Okay, up until my mother passed away last year, I was still seeking her advice on things. Did I listen all the time? No. And when I didn't, I suffered the consequences. Why? Because she knew. She lived it. She knew. She was right. She was always right. Anytime I had a problem and she said, "Oh, you need to do this," and I didn't do it, I suffered the consequences. When I listened, things got better. And it wasn't because she knew more than me. It wasn't because some vast knowledge she had or some tech savviness. It's because she lived life and she had done these things and she knew what was going to happen when I did those decisions. So please don't do like me. Don't be me. Don't be some of the other people. You don't have to be. The people that are older than you care about you and they want to see you succeed. And they can help you succeed by letting you know what the experiences are about. What happens when you do this action? Or what happens when you take this action or you don't take this action? What are the likely outcomes? You may have a goal in mind, but the goal may not happen. And what happens if the thing doesn't go according to plan? Then what? Is it possible it's not going to plan? Maybe there's something you didn't foresee. Why? Because you don't have the experience. You cannot predict what's going to happen because you haven't lived it. You can only guess. And if you're talking to other people your age, oh, yeah, no, forget it. They don't know any more than you do because they don't have any experience. Again, when somebody's going for a job and they always ask about experience, why do you think that is? Because the experience is important. Yes, maybe you need a bachelor's degree or something else on that. But what's more important is the experience. Can this person do the job? Just because they have the knowledge, can they do it? Can they think on their feet? Okay, so please, it is important for you to listen to your elders. Please use the links I promised and where you can comment on this video. Don't comment here, comment on the forum site. That would be the best bet because then we can have a discussion with other members from the forum site. But I will put a link to both sites, parentnook.com and the forum site, in the description once I get the video all up and running. Okay? Again, you have any questions, you can certainly comment here. That's fine. But you're likely to get more input if you comment on our forum site. Thank you and have a good night.